very much. Welcome everyone to our June Cabinet meeting, the second physical public Cabinet meeting taking place in the Town Hall. And I thank all colleagues joining us physically and those still joining virtually, as well as council officers joining virtually. I'm very pleased, and I think we've had some credit, certainly in terms of our planning committee meetings, that residents are continuing to enjoy having the meeting being live streamed. And as always, the papers are available online and decisions will be updated in the next 24 hours. I'll hand over to Andrew Spragg to just go through the participation rules for both these physical and their digital elements of these meetings.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Just a reminder to Cabinet members and those joining us online to only speak when invited to by the Chair, who in this case is Mayor Glanville. All participating members must keep their camera on during the proceedings unless they are having connection issues. If you wish to speak, please raise your hand and direct all communications via the Chair. Please ensure officers remotely attending that your mics are muted when you are not speaking. If you're referring to a specific page or picture in a report, refer to the page number or paragraph number as appropriate. If you are having technical difficulties, please use the chat function in Google Meet to alert the meeting. Please do not use the chat function for putting formal questions to the committee or making any other comments, and any persistent disruptive behaviour will result in removal from the meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrew, for that. And I am logged into the digital meeting as well, so can see the chat function and hand raising there, but we'll also be relying on you to alert my attention. I'll start with the vaccination programme, and I'd just like to thank all of those within Hackney's NHS, within the council and the voluntary Hackney Vax Pack for their work that they're doing across the borough to ensure that we continue to roll out the vaccine. I know it's really challenging. I know that we are having one of the lowest take-ups, obviously, in the country. That's clear. It's in the Hackney Gazette this evening. But that isn't through want of effort from our communities, from our local NHS, and all those that are supporting that effort. And I thank colleagues in the chamber for their volunteer efforts. I know Deputy Mayor Bramble, Councillor Kennedy, Councillor Maxwell, I think Councillor Williams and others have been volunteering at our vaccine centres. And I know all of us in the chamber have been working really hard to make sure that different communities and diverse communities are supported. We've had some successes. I think over the last couple of weeks, we supported the efforts at the London Stadium, the events at the Emirates, and are continuing to have the more regular pop-ups at St Leonard's, as well as the Bocking Street and John Scott vaccine centres. And I know we're in advanced stages of developing more large vaccination efforts within the borough, making as many of our sessions as open access as possible. And I think running late sessions as well over the weekend. So the Get a Jab work that is happening is firmly happening in Hackney. And I know that Bocking Street is open until 7 o'clock tonight with walk-ins available, which is incredibly important. And we have now reached nearly 52% of adults in Hackney having received their first vaccination, which actually is a really important milestone given the work that's been happening in June. So simple message, please do take up that opportunity wherever it's presented to you to get your vaccine. There's an incredible effort happening in community pharmacy as well. And I was very proud to get my second vaccination on Saturday, booked through the local GP text messaging system. So make sure that you're checking your text messages, answering your phone and following up. And I know there's an incredible effort at Morningside Community Centre on Sunday where we did a sold out pop-up in one of our estates in Homerton alongside our Bengali community and translators. And I know that Hackney Chinese were also out at John Scott yesterday, making sure that translation services and community support was there. We now have on our vaccine page on the council's website every single pop-up in the borough, every single pharmacy location, and neighbouring vaccine centres in other boroughs that are being made available. There's some brilliant efforts led by Camden and Islington with the Camden bus around a pop-up for people living with autism, and I think that's a really important opportunity that we look at all of our diverse communities and make sure that they're welcome in the vaccine system. So however you book, GP, national system or walk-in, please do get your vaccine. It's free, it's safe, and it's the only way we're going to beat this virus going forward. Moving on to the main part of the agenda, apologies for absence. I've got apologies for lateness from Councillor Coban, and obviously Councillor Williams is joining us on the remote scheme. I don't have any other apologies. Do you have any, Andrew? No. Urgent items of business. I just want Cabinet to note the late circulation of the overall financial position report, which will be considered under item 8. It should also be highlighted that the report titling the agenda should refer to 21-22 and not 2021 as indicated. And I'm sure that Councillor Chapman and I will explain why the report was delayed later on in the agenda. There are no other urgent items of business. Do we have any new declarations of interest for this meeting? I will go back to the remote meeting. Councillor Nicholson, Deputy Mayor Nicholson.
Sorry, thanks, Chair. It was just to declare an appropriate interest anyway. There's a named individual in the governors section, Rebecca Lloyd, and I'm just sort of kind of conscious that I'm sort of known to her through our various political activities and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I think, as is often, is that in the governor appointments, Councillor?
Governor appointments, sorry, yeah.
Well spotted. So that is item 10, I think. So in item 10, I think all of us know in one way or another, Rebecca Lloyd through community activities and the Labour Party. That is not uncommon in terms of local governor appointments, but I don't think it has any prejudicial impact on our decisions this evening. I'd urge everyone else to just, as Deputy Mayor Nicholson did, take a look at item 10. I don't recognise any of the other names. I'm sure they're amazing individuals as well, but do take a look, given our engagement with our local school community.
Would it be helpful for me to clarify for the minutes, Chair, that the governor appointments are managed by an independent process and then put up to Cabinet to confirm? So as far as I'm aware, members haven't been involved in the appointment process prior to this evening.
Absolutely. Very, very helpful indeed. So with that declaration, any other declarations? No, I don't see any hands in the virtual element of the meeting. Under item 4, I've had no notice of intention to conduct business in private, nor any representations received in response to its recommendations. And under item 5, I haven't received any notifications of deputations, questions or petitions referred to the Cabinet by the Council's monitoring officer. Item 6 is to consider the unrestricted minutes of Cabinet held on the 24th of May. Are we happy with the unrestricted minutes?
Agreed.
Wonderful. Thank you, colleagues. So item 7 is in my name and is the capital update report. It is absolutely as set out, but I would highlight the continued investment in our children's schools. That's been a long-standing manifesto commitment, and we're continuing it here around refurbishment and maintenance. There is also continued investment in our SEND schools and SEND places at Igbra School, a small increase from 150 to 164 places. That continues the work that Councillor Woodley and Deputy Mayor Bramble and myself and Councillor Kennedy started to improve the provision of SEND places in the borough. I think all of us will reflect on the tragic death and I assume murder of Patrick Anzi in Gillette Square. I think it was last month. There were already really advanced conversations with the local resident and business community around improving community safety there. I know that Councillor Fajana Thomas and the ward councillors have been doing subsequent engagement with council officers. This report, though, obviously does indicate further investment in the council CCTV systems, not only in the square but on Ridley Road. It's a really important part of ensuring that we invest in the safety of our residents in Dalston. I know how angry and upset local residents were after that incident, and I'm sure we all recognise the loss of life in violent circumstances. And I thank the police for their work to quite swiftly bring arrests in that case. And I know that the police are also working really hard with the council and the community to ensure that Gillette Square retains its diversity and inclusive nature, but is also safe for all residents and businesses. And that sits alongside the important work that Deputy Mayor Nicholson is doing around rebuilding a fairer Dalston and the Dalston Plan, which was announced in more detail last week in the Good Growth response. And I discussed the issues with the BCU commander on Friday. The other thing that we have also set out, and we launched it today, is rebuilding a greener Hackney. And there's an update report coming out. But in terms of this capital update, we're obviously doing a lot of work around rebuilding a fairer local economy and making sure that we continue to invest in our Hackney Works and Hackney Opportunities teams that Councillor Williams and I are keen to politically lead and champion. And there's investment indicated here to ensure the long-term future of that work. It's £2.1 million worth of investment, and it's worth just highlighting just the incredible work that the Hackney Works team, as part of our broader employment and skills offer, do to support our residents, not just in good times, but in the more challenging times of the current COVID-dominated economy. And we're continuing that work through our apprentices as well. So I commend this report to Cabinet. It's continuing our political and corporate agenda, and happy to take any questions or comments. Councillor Deputy Mayor Bramble.
Only just to comment on the continued investment in employment, yes, but the investment in schools. And as you know, we recently opened the new secondary school in Hoxton, and it's just really good to have that space for our children and young people and see a much needed school in our community.
Thank you. Councillor Woodley.
Yeah, I just wanted to stress that whilst it may appear modest, 14 places at Ipswich School, these are for children and young people with quite complex needs, and to be able to educate them in borough is really important, and it's part of the wider piece of work, as we said before, but it's worth repeating, where we're creating 84 places, so 50 at the Garden School, 9 at Gainsborough Primary School, 10 at Queensbridge. You know, we are trying to create more places in borough and a better session provision for our children.
Thank you. And a really important point, well made. Deputy Mayor Nicholson.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Glanville. And just to kind of echo your kind of words on the leadership that yourself and Councillor Williams are bringing forward on the employment and skills support and the 2.175 million that is being invested into that. And really just to kind of draw kind of colleagues' attention, Mayor Glanville, to the fact that this is a really excellent use of planning game money. So this is money that has come from new development in the borough, and that we're setting about reinvesting back into the community, so that we can sort of capture the opportunities for everybody in the borough from new development, and not just those that may live or work in the new development. So thanks, Mayor Glanville.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor Nicholson. Councillor Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to echo the comments around employment and skills, and to echo specifically what Deputy Mayor Nicholson has just said. Developments in the borough are quite a key to our employment and skills agenda, and I did email councillors last month pointing out where they are where they are supporting new developments in their wards and across the borough, in fact, that they are supporting the securing jobs and opportunities for young people. Also, just wanted to point out that the latest cohort of supported interns graduated last Thursday, and I attended that graduation. It's great to see that despite the pandemic and the impact that the pandemic has been having, that our supported interns have still successfully gone through their programme and have indeed graduated. A number of them will be moving on to apprenticeships within the council.
That's really welcome news, Councillor Williams, and I think the work that we've seen as well in collaboration with DWP and the centre that's been opened at Hillman Street shows through Kickstarter as well just the value and the glue that this investment through Planning Gain and the amazing team and the political vision is having for Hackney residents. And I think if anyone that tracks our work in planning, obviously there is a piece around the construction phase of development, but actually the use of these resources in this way to provide that long-term dividend beyond the construction phase is incredibly important and builds that bridge with the onward occupiers of new development as well as the existing economy. I think we need that more than ever, as it's clear. One of the most sobering statistics, I think, is that when it comes to our young people, 11% are now currently claiming unemployment benefits in Hackney. So they need that support around Kickstarter, apprenticeships, and Hackney Works and the service. And I'm really pleased as well to hear that the online graduations are going and continuing to go ahead, because it's incredibly important, as Councillor Williams has highlighted. Are we happy to agree the capital update as set out?
Yeah, agreed.
Thank you. So item 8 is the overall financial position statement, property disposals and acquisitions. I think this is Councillor Chapman's report.
Thank you, Mayor. The report was largely set out. It reports on the financial position at the end as another update on the financial position as at the end of the last financial year, 2021, when we are reporting that there is a slightly improved revenue position of 1.3446 million, better than we reported last month, which is obviously a very good sign, and that will feed forward into a very slight easing of the pressures that we face this year and in the future. The next OFP report will deal with the first one that will deal with the expenditure in the current financial year. And I would just say to colleagues present and chief officers that it's important we continue obviously to bear down on costs in 21-22, the current year, to make sure that the agreed budget savings are achieved and that we're in the best possible financial position going forward. The report also deals with the disposal of 121 Dalston Lane and 40 Lee Bridge Road, where it asks for your agreement. We're advised that these are in very poor repair and cannot be economically repaired, and the recommendations to dispose of them in accordance with the Hackney Protocol result. And the funds that are raised by doing that would be invested back into the leasehold purchase programme. So can I report to them?
Thank you, Councillor Chapman, and can I thank not only yourself but Councillor Mackenzie and Housing Services team for ensuring that not only is the sale of street properties in these conditions a last resort, but that hypothecation into buying back leasehold properties from Right to Buy in the wards where these homes are being sold, and ensuring that there's actually an increase in the amount of family housing and options for our residents has been written into the recommendations and the delegations that led to it being included tonight. I think it's incredibly important that that is recognised and taken into account when we make these decisions. So thank you again. Are there any other questions or comments around the report? Are we happy to agree the recommendations?
Agreed.
Agreed. Thank you. A second month in a row, Councillor Woodley, for an amazing piece of strategic work. So this is the draft child-friendly borough supplementary planning guidance. and again, a really important political document, but also really important planning document that I know that Councillor Woodley has been leading on, but also thank the contributions from Deputy Mayor Bramble, Councillor Kennedy and Councillor Nicholson at showing what a cross-council and cross-cabinet member piece of work. And I know as well that Councillor Maxwell is always keen to highlight the intergenerational element of this work. Councillor Woodley.
Well, I don't know if I should give way to Councillor Nicholson initially, as it's technically in his brief, but I think we're just going to hand it straight back.
I was indeed, Mayor Glanville, and it is with great pleasure that I had to sort of stand here taking all the credit for something that I've done very little to actually bring about and bring to reality. So if I may hand over to Councillor Woodley and Deputy Mayor Bramble to perhaps sort of introduce the report in full. Thanks, Mayor Glanville.
Thank you. I'm going to say, as set out, but just that I'm really, really proud to commend this report to Cabinet. It sets out the rationale and means by which we can take a really bold step towards making Hackney a child-friendly borough. I'm sure you all feel the same way as I did. I came to Cabinet 2 weeks before national lockdown last year. It has been really hard. It's been really hard for our residents. It's been really hard for us. You know, it's gruelling. And in amongst all this really difficult work and difficult decision making that we have to do, there are moments of absolute brilliance. And there is a really well-researched, clear vision, passionate piece of work that's come out of planning here under child-friendly places that I hope is the first step towards more child-friendly and strategic work. In fact, Councillor Nicholson has almost promised that this might be the case, that this is a stepping stone perhaps rather than completed body of work. It builds on our groundbreaking work in Playing Out. It builds on our championing of places where children and young people actually want to be. It looks closely at how we can reshape our borough by connecting places together, very much like the Parks and Green Spaces strategy that I had the privilege to bring last month. From doorstep to street to destination, with scope to connect with nature and to play on the way, and frankly, you can play at any age, so you know, you're all young at heart, right? And I think, as the Mayor referred to earlier, in terms of our intergenerational work, we have plenty of opportunity to look at how young people and older people get to enjoy our borough just by looking at the lens of the smallest and making it great for all. Huge thanks are due to Gabrielle Abadi, Lizzie Bird, Katie Glasgow, Dan Beagles, and so many people who've worked with us. I've got to give a shout out to Diana Bornat, Hackney Youth Parliament, Hackney Young Futures Commission, the working group. So many people have been excited by this work and have really deeply contributed. It's fantastic. I also have to thank my Cabinet colleagues here, especially Councillor Kennedy, Councillor Nicholson, the Mayor indeed, and of course Deputy Mayor Bramble, who I'm sure will want to say a couple of words. You really contribute to the ambition set out in this report, and I'm sure will help to deliver a child-friendly places here in Hackney.
Thank you, Councillor Woodley. Deputy Mayor Bramble.
Yes, I just want to say as well, it's been a pleasure working alongside Councillor Woodley in this role and other colleagues, and it's just a really innovative, creative way to demonstrate that when you put the right strategies in place, that you can make a commitment to children and young people in the borough. And all of the work we're doing around hearing children's and young people's voices, but also pointing to where they make a significant difference. We've done that with Youth Parliament, we've done that with Young Futures, and I'm just really proud of this work. And, you know, Councillor Woodley has rightly thanked the officers, but I want to thank the young people too, not just for their input, but for their suggestions. Mayor Glanville, we cannot take all the credit. Young people have absolutely spoken to this piece of work, we've listened, and as a local authority, we are doing the work that they have wanted us to do. The last thing I have to say though, although we boast and talk about this fantastic, innovative piece of work, it also sits alongside the reflective piece of work we are doing for existing places of living spaces. So we don't want everyone to think that we're just focusing on new builds going forward. It's about that retrospective and reflective work we're doing on existing places where children and young people live.
Thank you. I completely agree with those contributions. I think the reference point to the amount of co-production that's happened in producing this document is really important. And actually, I do want to recognise the council officers that have been involved in this. And we have said repeatedly that we're London leaders on this piece of work. I'll come back to you, Councillor Maxwell. We're London leaders, and one of the last things that I think it was the last physical thing I did at City Hall was taking part in the launch of the London Report, sponsored by the LEP. And actually, I dare to say that more than a third, perhaps even half of all the case studies came from Hackney and different things that we had already done, never mind signalling the long-term strategic future. We were at Cardinal Pole today, Deputy Mayor Bramble, Councillor Coban and I, talking to young people about the Rebuilding a Greener Hackney agenda, but it's actually a school that helped sponsor the build-up work alongside Berger Primary and Hackney Quest, and how young people could reimagine their public realm and get involved in constructing what they reimagined. And while we didn't meet the young people that had done that project, I think they were inspired by it and they recognised it and how different the world could be. And I know that when Councillor Woodley and I visited Shoreditch Adventure Playground a little over a week ago again, that came through very strongly from young people, that they were empowered to think about the future of their place and see that ambition and aspiration matched by then council investment in our place. So we're setting the groundwork this evening, I think, for a future of more inclusive play, but we're also making that practical investment now. And I can't list the number of playgrounds that we've either refurbished or invested in across the borough. And as we know, on Wednesday, in reopening the Britannia, we've committed to that summer of play in the Britannia Centre as well. So this does all absolutely connect up. And I can segue back to Councillor Maxwell, that Irene Lewington, who joined us at one of our visits to the Britannia Centre and is one of the 100 Hackney residents in the public art there, is a 93-year-old plane jumping activist for St Joseph's Hospice, showing that you are never too old to take part in active play. And she was leading the football on the roof when we made that visit. And I'd like to thank her for everything that she does for the borough. And I think it illustrates that you are never too old to be engaged on this agenda. And I'll hand over to Councillor Maxwell, who leads on that work.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Glanville. Just wanted to thank Councillor Woodley for this work. I think the example of the work I've done around Ageing Well, linking up with child-friendly places, is an example of how we're not looking at groups in silos. We're not trying to section off older people and younger people. I think the work we've done with the Ageing Well strategy linking into the child-friendly places is a really strong example of intergenerational work. I note that there was an intergenerational group that met as part of the consultation. Age Concern and Connect Hackney were very much involved. And recently, the officers were very engaged in looking at the public realm, the spaces around benches, and the wording is very clear that now that they expect the benches to be accessible. And I think, like you say, the lens of a child, you also, if you look at a lens of an older person and having a seat and having spaces that are comfortable and accessible, it is not just about that group, it's about making sure anyone, whatever age, whatever mobility issues, can sit and enjoy a rest on a bench. But I just wanted to thank Councillor Woodley very much, because I think there's a lot of opportunities that are going to come from this on intergenerational work.
Thank you. And I finished there. I think this is a launching point probably for our political thinking around the next manifesto about where we take this work. And I know looking at the virtual screen where Councillor Williams is there, that there is some work to do about the inclusive public realm going forward for people of all ages and abilities. And I thank Councillor Maxwell for her work behind the scenes to improve some of the more recent benches that have been installed in the borough as well, because underpinning all of it is how we all take part in the public realm in a really inclusive way. So I really think that debate was really valuable. I think it shows the cross-cabinet contribution to this work and the excitement and passion that we have. Are we happy to agree the report?
Agreed.
Thank you, everyone. Back to the item 10, the appointment of local authority governors. We've obviously discussed that we are aware of one of the individuals. It doesn't appear to be in any of our collective names, but does anyone want to, I think it's in your name, Ian, as acting chief executive, but through you, read it into the meeting. Are there any questions or comments on the report? Are we happy to agree the recommendations?
Agreed.
Thanks very much, all. I don't have any unrestricted items, and I don't think there's any AOB. So other than to note the dates for future meetings in the municipal calendar 21-22, I just thank you all for your attendance, whether virtual, online, on the live feed, or indeed in the chamber, and look forward to seeing some colleagues at our first full council meeting on Wednesday. Noting though that all of these meetings taking place physically are under a degree of duress, and we still believe we should have the freedoms that Parliament has granted itself for full participation virtually. And I know that Deputy Mayor Bramble, the legal team, and Dawn and Andrew continue to make that case through the LGA and directly ourselves.
Yeah.
Thank you.